And for more analysis, we're joined by Michael Bociurkiw, a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, and he is in London. Good to see you again. Thanks for being here with us. So, Trump's latest comments, a little stronger than we normally hear from him. That ultimatum, as they put it there on Russian TV. What do you make of it?
Good to be with you again, Kim. Well, as a Canadian, nothing surprises me anymore. After all, Trump is trying to target Canada with 25% tariffs. And, Canada sees itself as the biggest ally of the United States. So I think this is typical Trump bravado, gunboat diplomacy. I think he's setting the tone for his next 4 years. The response we've got so far from the Russians is they're not taking it seriously. They're not taking it seriously. If we even look at the actions in the past 24 hours already, the attack on Zaporizhzhia in eastern Ukraine, 25 wounded, 1 dead, and several buildings damaged. That doesn't sound like a party that is willing to engage with Mr. Trump and bring peace to Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard Trump there say, the easy way or the hard way, but how hard actually is the hard way, considering Russia has now endured years of sanctions? So isn't that the problem? Isn't it possible to end the war quickly if that's basically the only lever you have to press?
Exactly. I've just come back from a tour of Asia Pacific, and there are many, many countries there that are more than happy to continue supplying the Putin war machine by buying oil, goods, military equipment, that sort of thing. So I think we have to get to a point, Kim, where the noose around Mr. Putin and his inner circle gets so tight that no, you cannot get aircraft parts via Thailand or Gabon of all places, and that the Indians, for example, have to, I think, make a decision whether to support Ukraine or Russia and stop buying Russian oil, which does feed the Russian war machine. One more thing, Kim, is Mr. Trump mentioned more sanctions, but I think the country is already heavily sanctioned, and because of these special alliances with, for example, friends in Asia Pacific, they're able to get around them. So it's a lot of tough talk, but at the end of the day, nothing stops the Russians better than long-range missiles and things like that.
Yeah, the tough talk, I guess, was kind of concealing maybe something that would have been more palatable to Putin, and that was Trump's comments about his, public offer to broker a peace deal.
Yeah, what was interesting, a lot of people noticed, including myself, that Ukraine wasn't even mentioned in the inauguration address.
Yeah.
And even though, again, Trump is talking about peace, I think, and I'm not alone with this, I think Trump is going to take us into a period where things are going to happen hemispherically. What I mean by that, spheres of influences. He's going to concentrate on Canada, US, Mexico, perhaps Greenland, Panama Canal. The Chinese will be able to be left to what they want to do in Asia Pacific, and the Russians in their sphere of influence. And that scares a lot of people. I'd like to say one more thing, which I think is really important. I mean, the Davos World Economic Forum was mentioned, and I think, I'm a bit baffled. I think the Ukrainian priorities are a bit misplaced. They should actually be in Washington right now, throwing everything they have right now to protect Ukrainian aid. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, USAID has given about $37 billion to Ukraine. That aid is about to be frozen or canceled, and that would inflict huge harm on Ukraine right now.
Yeah, so instead of being in Washington, Zelensky was at Davos urging Europe to up its security contributions to 5%. So to some, it sounded a little like Trump's earlier press conferences demanding NATO states to up their target for defense spending to 5%. Do you think Zelensky was consciously mirroring Trump, trying to curry favor with him?
Yeah, I think so. And without due respect to Mr. Zelensky, I think there's a bit of political naivete here, because being here in London, you hear a lot about, lack of resources for things like defense. You hear that wherever you go in Europe right now. Zelensky also at the World Economic Forum is talking about NATO contributing 200,000 peacekeeping troops, which has to include the United States. Now, that is that is way more than the 60,000 NATO devoted to Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1996. And I don't think there's the appetite right now in Washington and among Trump's base, especially his cabinet nominees, to send boots on the ground, even if it's for a peacekeeping force. So I really think they have to get their messages correctly to not turn off, people, the Trump circle, people like that.
Yeah. Listen, we'll leave it there, but always great to get your expertise on all this. Michael Bociurkiw, thank you so much.
Thank you.